Welcome back to the Teams Insider podcast. This week, a hot topic. We are talking the Unify certification and Teams Phone Extensibility. We've got the Dynamics 365 contact center perspective with Pratichi, and we've got the Teams Phone perspective with Sean. We explain what Unify is, what Teams Phone Extensibility is, and also what the future is of those integrations, and where is the fit for ecosystem partners, where's the fit for Dynamics 365 contact center. Really great conversation. Thanks to Sean and Pratichi for jumping on the pod, and also many thanks to Mnemonics, who are the sponsor of this podcast. Really appreciate their support. On with the show. Hi everybody, welcome back to the podcast. We've got a really hot topic this week. We're talking Teams Phone Extensibility. We're talking how that relates to the ecosystem partners, how that relates to Dynamics 365 Contact Center. We just recently did a Teams Fireside chat that we had a lot of conversation around Teams Phone Extensibility and Dynamics 365 Contact Center, so we thought it would make a good pod conversation. Maybe I could start with Pratichi. Maybe you could introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Tom. Hi, everyone. My name is Pratichi Dash. I'm a product manager on Dynamics 365 Contact Center team, and I have been driving the Teams Phone Extensibility from the contact center side of the house. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Thanks. And Sean?
Yeah, sure. I'm Sean Gilmour. I'm a product manager lead on the Teams client side, and my team does a lot of work around B2C communications. And I'm looking and helping out with the TPE integration on the Teams client side and some on the service side.
Awesome. So we've got two right people. I feel like there's lots of different questions. Some of them get aimed at the Dynamics team, some of them get aimed at Teams and Teams Phone. So it's great to have you both on the pod. Yeah. So thanks for that. So I guess we should start at the top. Like, Teams Phone Extensibility kind of was announced, the Unify certification was announced, and Dynamics 365 obviously was announced before that as being kind of Microsoft's contact center motion. Sean, can we start with Teams Phone Extensibility? Can you explain kind of what it is and how it works?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we are constantly in conversation with both our partners and with our customers around how they use phone and how their sort of systems are evolving. And one of the things we've heard loud and clear is, hey, we're really excited about the ability to, work with our contact centers, either within Teams or outside Teams, with our current models of Extend and Connect. But what we really like to do is unify our phone system. We prefer that we had one sort of unified phone system, but the folks who needed to work in a contact center space could work in the contact center space, and the folks that needed to work in Teams could work in Teams. But the administration, the management was all in a single source. So having heard that over and over, we started an initiative to extend Teams Phone out to other clients, which is new and novel for us. We've never really done that in the depth that we're talking about doing with TPE, with that goal of delivering that sort of unified admin experience for the phone system. So shared policy, emergency calling support, things of that nature. And in doing so, we sort of brought that into the certification space as the Unify model, which, folks that have followed us on this journey know that for a very, very long time, we had three models. We had Connect, Extend, and Power. And Power was always the promised integration of ACS into Teams Phone. Unify is the sort of successor to the Power model. It is powered by ACS. It allows that sort of deep, rich connectivity that a number of our partners have used and built on top of, but leveraging Teams Phone as the calling service.
Awesome. That helps clarify kind of the two things, because they one came out, then the other came out. And it's like, these are different words for the same things. But TPE is kind of the technology layer of what's possible, and then to certify as Unify means you put your contact center through the certification and say you're doing all the things with those with ACS and with the APIs and the SDK.
Yeah, exactly. And we've had a good adoption. We've gotten through certified partners like Landis and Hedify and Audio Codes, and we have more in the pipeline that have embraced this. As we said, we talk with a lot of customers and also talk with our ISV partners, including the Dynamics team, about what the need was here. And it was sort of loud and clear. Hey, we want to streamline our administration of phone. We want to use and leverage Teams Phone and the investments made there. Figure it out, Microsoft. So we figured it out, and now we're off and running, which is great. And to your point, TPE is really a bit of what we can do longer term and opens up other avenues. And I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about that later.
Yeah, I want to loop into kind of because it's not called Teams Phone Contact Center Extensibility, which is interesting. So yeah, I'll loop back to kind of some roadmap stuff, which might be interesting.
Yeah.
But you made the perfect transition to Pratichi and Dynamics 365 Contact Center then, because obviously when that launched, it was using Azure Direct Routing. You had to kind of provision your own numbers, do your own trunks. Like that was the kind of first approach. And I guess this was a great opportunity to kind of work alongside the Teams team to take the benefits of that single platform consolidated story.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to recap a little bit, we launched CCaaS D365 Contact Center in market last year, over a year ago, and we have always thought of it and positioned it as our AI-first cloud-native contact center with omni-channel capabilities. But when it comes to telephony, we were supporting it through Azure Communication Services. We supported direct offer and direct routing connectivity through Azure Communication Services. But as Sean was mentioning earlier, we have repeatedly heard this feedback from the market and signal from the market that, hey, we want to unify our UCaaS and CCaaS, and we want a single phone system that we can replicate across our different stacks. So Teams Phone Extensibility with Dynamics 365 Contact Center, that's sort of a natural progression to what the CCaaS and UCaaS world looks like in the AI first era. And like I mentioned, we released that last year, and then we have, ever since we have been working on unifying and supporting Teams Phone Extensibility for Dynamics 365 Contact Center. So, just imagine a scenario, right, where you have already established your Teams Phone architecture for your internal communication and UCaaS purposes, and you don't have to repeat and reestablish the whole tech stack just for your contact center purpose. And now, that is all being possible through Teams Phone Extensibility. So that's how the vision has shaped in collaboration with IC3 teams, Sean's team, and we launched Teams Phone Extensibility for Dynamics Contact Center this summer in August. And, clearly there is huge market signal and huge, like feedback from the customer and partner base that this is of higher value.
Yeah, I think it's a big thing for deployment, isn't it? You've got all the
Mhm.
Operator Connect partners already established, so trusted partners with backend integration. 115 now it's up to, so really good plethora of carriers. Obviously, many more carriers support direct routing or direct routing as a service. Everybody understands that stack up and
Yeah.
down. Whereas
Yeah.
the Azure direct routing, even though it's technically similar, it's like, oh, I've got to provision a second set of SBCs, virtual or physical, a set of trunks. So it was just another ask. And I know I've done a couple of those, so I know it's like it's not that a million miles away from direct routing, right? But it's another
Yeah.
thing that you just don't want to have to support and do
Yeah.
if you don't
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah. I think that's definitely a big up level for a contact center customer base, because they have partnership with their operators through Teams Operator Connect, and now they can repurpose the whole setup and relationship and replicate that in contact center telephony. So definitely a big uplift from just direct routing or direct offer supportability for PSTN.
And will direct Azure PSTN and Azure Direct Routing, will that move away and you'll be exclusively kind of TPE Unify? Is that the plan?
Yeah, so I mean, we have always planned for both to coexist until at least the next foreseeable future. But we are strongly recommending and positioning Teams Phone Extensibility as our recommended voice solution for
Yeah.
obvious value add to customers as well as to the businesses, and we'll talk about that probably a little bit later in this conversation. Tom would love to highlight some of the research that we have done with market and some of the value propositions that we have uncovered for that. But to answer your questions, yeah, I mean, we would continue to support coexistence. However, we would highly recommend the prospects and customers to evaluate Teams Phone Extensibility as
Yeah.
their primary telephony solution.
Awesome. And you mentioned on the fireside chat, which is really interesting to me, is you're going through certification of Unify in the same way as the ecosystem partners do. So like it really is the same platform, the same certification, like it's not like you have a kind of inside track that you get things that the ecosystem doesn't.
Well, I mean, yes, we had a hard negotiation. We tried, but I think this is this is, I think, fair, right? Like we also wanted to make sure that there is a level playing field here, and
Yeah.
why not? We have been following the same implementation standards, same integration components, and it absolutely makes sense for us to be in that certification space as other 3P vendors. So the certification process is in progress, and we hope to make some announcement around that pretty soon.
I love that because it holds it holds a standard, and also it says there's obviously been a lot of conversations with partners about like is there going to be like special ACS capabilities for the Dynamics team, but not at all. I guess Sean, you can probably
Nope,
say this
there
more
will not.
authoritatively. Like it's
No.
but that means all the investment Microsoft are making in the Dynamics 365 contact center. If that team want a feature, that's going to push the ACS and the IC3 team and the Teams Phone Extensibility. All that stuff is just going to grow because of the kind of the dynamic story as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's important for us. Microsoft has, longstanding as a platform company, and one of the important sort of fundamentals of a platform company is that you sort of have a level playing field, that everyone sort of adheres to the same set of rules and the same parameters. And so that's why for us, certification is critical, and having the same bar for everyone is also critical. And yeah, we talk with the Dynamics folks all the time. They're one building over from us on a campus in Redmond. But we also talk a ton with our partners out in our larger ecosystem, and we evaluate a lot of the features based on what the larger need is. And of course, the beauty of something like TPE is all of these ISV customers are our customers. And so we also get direct line from those customers around what they'd like to see, what's missing. Hey, why do I have to have compliance recording set up in two separate ways across contact center and Teams? Can you streamline more of the admin and management? When are you going to support additional sort of features in the Teams phone space and expand them into TPE? And so those are great conversations for us to triangulate and figure out where we invest and how we go forward.
That's awesome. And there's CX is a huge space, right, with a huge set of customers with all different scales and requirements and stuff. So there's definitely room for all sorts of innovation,
Oh,
both
yeah.
from the Dynamics team and from the partners, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Tons
So
and tons of different things that are coming along, and from different views on AI and things of that nature. And maybe Pratichi, if you have a little view on
yeah,
how
I was going to
Dynamics
ask,
thinks
bro.
about that.
Yeah, like it'd be good to think like where would you say your positioning is, Pratichi, and what have you found success with in terms of the Dynamics 365 contact center proposition?
Yep, sure. So I think I'd like to tackle it from two different angles, Tom, especially for the voice customers who have been with us for a long journey, when we were even like omni-channel, right, tightly coupled with our CRM product. Now we are a decoupled standalone CCaaS contact center product where the customers do not have to depend on dynamic CRM to use our contact center solution. So that was like the first step forward in making contact center solution as our primary, offering in the omni-channel space. On behalf of Dynamics team. So that was one aspect, right? That was the first step. And then we went ahead and we made tons of enhancements on how to reimagine the whole contact center space in the AI centric world. So we have our first party IVR solution. We call it Voice Agent. That's for the autonomous end-to-end contact center support with fully self-serve loop. So we are investing a lot into that space, just bringing a lot of enhancements in how to make that conversational AI efficient, not just in terms of the conversational quality, but paying a lot of attention to performance, quality of service, supporting customers at scale. So all of those aspects have been on the forefront of how we have been reimagining contact center, right? That is one aspect. And the second thing I would like to highlight again, like the Teams Phone Extensibility, the whole idea and vision around making it simpler, making it more cost effective and meaningful to the customers who already have Teams and who want to onboard into Dynamics. So streamlining the product vision from like the what's next gen contact center is going to look like, both from feature perspective in terms of AI rich capabilities, and also in terms of how to streamline your infrastructure, how to streamline your different investments that you have into
Hmm.
business buckets. I think those two have been the primary focus for Dynamics 365 as a product, in the contact center voice space.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be a relatively fresh platform into the CX space with all the AI stuff coming. And obviously, there's few players that have the level of investment that Microsoft have in AI and infrastructure and that. So I'm so excited about the potential of that. And again, what that brings to the Teams and Teams Phone story and to the CX and to the ACS kind of platform story. I think we're only at the very beginning. You'd like things like those voice agents and getting in the media streams, and also the insights we can pull from that data as well, because now we can make
Yeah.
sense of it at scale.
Just wanted to mention one thing, right? I think that's definitely a highlight to have a self-serve loop through advanced AI capabilities, but we have a ton of investment on how to make the productivity better for our human agents, like Copilot on the side, multiple AI capabilities to assist them, summary, conversation summary, translation, etc. So all of those capabilities, I think, is definitely a differentiator in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's the reality where I see most customers are with AI in the contact center as well at the moment. To be honest, like everybody's excited or interested about the potential to do the kind of full service or the handoff, but actually, some of the massive pain points in contact center are agent turnover, agent training costs. So yeah, any kind of bubbling up the right answer proactively for the agent, or coaching them or training them, and that's a very relatively safe way into the AI world, right? You've still got the human not only in the loop, but like controlling the loop in the sense of like, if the thing bubbles up a slightly the wrong answer, the human can still make sense of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's one of the critical pieces to Pratichi's point. Like, humans being augmented and being helped by AI is really a big part of what the future looks like. And something that, can also be sort of applied as we think about the way sort of TPE grows and allows for this sort of deeper integration of intelligence, both, in sort of smart routing solutions that could be, engaged in there, getting it to the right person, ensuring things like context flow between agents if calls are handed off, and that data is available to AI to also process and ingest and provide real-time answers and solutioning that helps augment those calls.
Awesome. And so again, Unify is a certification. So you take your solution, you bring it to Microsoft, you run through the certification process. But Teams Phone Extensibility is a set of, is it APIs and SDK? Like there's a thing that people can get to and play with before they're certified and can do
Absolutely.
other things with potentially.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, effectively, what we're building is sort of the ability to move calls between Teams phone endpoints. So, leveraging the ACS stack to sort of say, hey, I want calls routed, for this endpoint to Dynamics. And Dynamics can, at the same time, given that everyone's an M365 user, quickly look up a subject matter expert on Teams and bring them into the call or transfer the call to them. And that sort of ability to sort of move calls through the system is really one of the sort of inherent sort of beauties of that. It is going to allow us to sort of further expand. Like you said, there's Unify, which is the sort of contact center focus. And as we look to the future, we look at the ability to sort of, as you move these calls through these different systems, that there's a multitude of endpoints that you could have supported by Teams Phone, right? You could potentially think about intelligent IVR, third-party intelligent IVRs that can fan out calls based on need to a CCaaS endpoint or a UCaaS endpoint. Auto attendants, and attendant consoles, and things we haven't necessarily even thought of that could potentially sort of manage these sort of call flows, and land them wherever we want. We really see TPE as something of a better together story, leveraging phone to sort of drive deeper connectivity between the various parts of your organization that are going to be handling customer encounters, right? We know that as the sort of scale of customer engagement grows across a company, there's sort of layers of who's going to be engaging with them. And in some cases, the people that had been sitting behind a desk and just been doing this sort of day-to-day jobs are now being asked to step in and engage in that high-level support that may be necessary. And a lot of times those people are on teams, right? And so, they're ideally suited and built around working there, and they may be handling calls that are coming in from, say, the dynamic side of the house, or from an intelligent IVR that's trying to help and try to self-serve, but it realizes that it needs to hand it off to an expert and routes the call properly.
Yeah, that kind of idea of there's been different terminology for it, but like the contact center in the back office, or swarming, or bringing in SMEs, or whatever it may be. You can definitely see that in the future, where you get to an AI agent that can deal with 60% of the scenarios, so I don't need as many FTE contact centers agents, human agents there necessarily. But when it does get stuck, it's going to go straight towards actually someone at a level, to use the IT terms, kind of level 2, level 3 type understanding of products to answer that question.
Yeah. And that's a pretty critical part of the story, and it's actually, when we think about like the continuity of customer engagement, that's sort of where we position something like the Qs app in Teams, right? The Qs app is not a contact center, but it's built to support, we tend to call them citizen agents for lack of a sort of more sort of broadly accepted term, but it's really the folks in that back office that are that level 2, level 3 support. And it's not their full-time job to answer phone calls, but it's part of their work to engage with customers and, be on call queues or be available if an auto attendant needs to route calls. And so that's sort of the positioning of the Qs app too, and that better together continuity.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And again, it's exciting to see over the coming months. I know there's more to talk about kind of later in the year and next year, but like all the investment in the ACS platform and kind of like that lifts all the boats, whether it be it partner, be it Qs, be it native, be it dynamics. Like it's really it's going to be interesting to see who implements what of those pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, we've got more in store to share as we go forward. There's a lot of interesting irons in the fire.
That's really cool. And again, this could be future scenarios of like, I build a brand new type of application on ACS that maybe we hadn't even thought of because the AI is not there yet, and I need to have Teams connectivity or phone connectivity into that world. This is a layer to get those two together.
Absolutely, that's the sort of fundamentals of the TPE stack, is this idea that ultimately we want to serve wherever that call needs to either sort of be transited to as an endpoint or transited through to reach the right sort of person or intelligence to manage that call, and that along with that comes things like context and the routing and call legs that have come before, so that can all inform both the agent or the intelligence, or both. But yeah, That's the whole goal.
And obviously the Dynamics 365 contact centers on the Unify ACS train, obviously, like there's lots of Extend contact centers out there. There's Connect as well, but I'd say Extend is closer to Unify in terms of like integration to the platform. How would you say to customers to think about Extend? Is it Extend versus Connect? Is it a decision, or is it just about features and does that matter to the customer what the integration model is?
It's a bit of what the customer needs more than anything else. And that's why we sort of try to do a richer, deeper comparison on the websites that support the certification programs to sort of allow customers to understand. And a lot of our partners actually build solutions that are available, in either, two or now three, all three of the certification standards to serve their customers where they really need them. Extend, we have a lot of great sort of extend partners that build their apps directly into Teams. And so if you want to have your team function in that space, but you want something with, that is more contact center focused, like I said, Q's app is not a contact center. It's not designed really to answer all of the needs in that space, particularly at scale, and particularly in that idea of a single pane of glass. To like, oh, we just want a very standalone, solution with like Connect, or you want a deeply, engaged embedded solution with that third-party app being a standalone, which is the Unify model. So, we continue to see space for all three of those. We have no plans right now to deprecate any of the certification programs or end of life them, because they all are serving a really important need in that larger ecosystem. Like, as a company, we try to understand that, nothing is homogeneous about what our customers deploy, right? And so we have to meet them where they are and with their needs, and that's why these programs exist in their uniqueness.
That's great to understand. Pratichi, anything else you want to talk about as far as the Dynamics 365 Contact Center? We're recording pre-Ignite, so we're a little bit early on anything in particular, but it's been in market for a while now. I know there's more to come as well on the AI story.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you mentioned, there would be a ton of exciting announcements at Ignite, so stay tuned for that. But one thing I wanted to highlight, especially on the Teams Phone Extensibility front, is a publicly available market study that we have done through Forrester. So we partnered with Forrester to do a total economic impact study, and we have the reports out there on like what the value this whole Teams Phone extensibility could bring to the customers. So there are some very interesting stats there about what the ROI is going to look like, which is like 3-digit above 345% or so over a period of 3 years. And there are some huge benefits we are seeing in terms of like improved downtime and accelerated setup and all of those different aspects, which has been received as a pain point in past, right? So I think that is something that I wanted to highlight, which is again like publicly available if anybody wants to go and read about it and get some
we'll link it in the
insights
show
on.
notes. That's great.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, that's there. And then I know there are, like I mentioned, a lot of innovations happening in the space of conversational AI and contact center AI. So those exciting announcements will be queued in the Ignite. So again, like so many things coming up. So I'll leave it to that. But yeah, I think that's what I wanted to share. And yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's exciting when there's lots more to talk about that we can't quite talk about yet.
Yeah,
but I appreciate some little hints there. I guess, Sean, same question. Anything else you want to kind of let the community know, or any thoughts on direction? Or
yeah, I mean, I think we touched on this a little bit, but I think one of the things that's really important is from the standpoint of a business commitment, TP is really important for us on the Teams Phone side. As we've been talking about the continual improvements we make to Teams Phone in general, that the goal over time is to get to the point where they serve all the endpoints equally. So we never think about like, oh, this is only ever going to be the Teams client that gets this feature, right? We want to get to a world where we can expand those capabilities. Like I talked about, like, how do we support compliance recording, which, there's a whole bunch of policy that goes on compliance recording and who it's applied to and when it's applied and all of these specifics. And, moving to sort of remove the need to manage that in two spaces is important to us. But the overall goal is to get it so you just deploy phone system once, and then you plug in all of the endpoints that you need, and you don't have to worry about it, right? And you can even do things like have contact center agents that are taking calls on Dynamics and getting, what we sort of deem personal calls, business calls, but coming into the individual as opposed to the business on Teams. So you can move between these two seamlessly, and you're not committing a user to a specific tool all of the time. It's a specific tool for a specific set of scenarios. And so
I guess we haven't said it explicitly, but obviously you can mix and match different TP solutions within your environment as well. So you might have a country that's, or a business unit that's all in on the Dynamics 365 contact center, and another one obviously potential attendance, some other things in the future. So it's really is a decision for what that user base needs.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the sort of, guiding points for us as well, is like, how do we light up these various endpoints so that the communications can flow naturally, right? You could potentially get into a world where you're not transferring between, say, Dynamics and the Teams client, but you're transferring between, say, a region that's supporting Dynamics and another region that maybe is supported by Landis. And that connection doesn't need to traffic through a Teams client. It's just using the system to move between, or as we hinted at, like, bringing things like, intelligent routing that can manage to wherever it needs to go, right? So that you end up in that space where, hey, this call did come in through the channel that routes into, say, Dynamics, but we actually think this should be routed to this user on Teams who's the subject matter expert. So off it goes back into that Teams client.
Awesome. Well, Sean, Pratichi, thanks so much for jumping on the show. Really interesting to get like a real clarification of where everything sits and some insight as to where everything's going. No doubt we'll do something again soon, but really appreciate both your time.
Thanks for having us. This is great.
Yeah. Thank you.